These days, taxing and spending are hot button issues. In Walker County, Georgia, many voters are concerned that the county came up short after they approved a SPLOST continuation 5 years ago.
That SPLOST is a 1-cent sales hike for a special project. Calvin Sneed has been looking into their complaints and digging into the details.
Back in 2008, 71% of Walker County voters supported the 1-penny sales tax called SPLOST. Now, many of those voters have noticed that the money never flowed in as promised.
I don't know if they brought in the money they anticipated that SPLOST would bring in. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, yes, that is the problem. Walker County Commissioner Beebe Heiskell told voters back then that their support would result in $38 million in spending over 6 years. There would be plenty of money to support law enforcement, roads, water and solid waste, recreation, historic preservation, the animal shelter, and more. But in fact, revenue from the SPLOST came up millions of dollars short of the projection, creating winners and losers. Here's the scorecard. The winners include industrial and economic development, which received 92% of its intended funding. Roads and bridges got 94%. Emergency services got 95% funding. Building, construction, and improvements got way more money than it was allocated, 113%. And the losers? Historic preservation only got 35%. Recreation only got 21%. The animal shelter got nothing. Solid waste and stormwater management got nothing.
If people voted for particular funding for particular projects and it's not happening, that's not right.
As Walker County's sole commissioner, Beebe Heiskell was the chief salesperson for the SPLOST vote. And 5 years later, Heiskell is ultimately responsible for explaining why the revenue never materialized. She says she intentionally inflated the estimate because of state rules.
If we'd collected the amount that was collected before the end of the 6-year period, then they would have stopped allowing us to collect the money. And so we'd always make it high.
Still, $38 million worth of projects were sold to voters in 2008, but only slightly more than half of that money was ever raised.
Most people I've talked to feel kind of like I do. We're tired of voting ourselves more taxes.
Now, Walker County voters will be asked in November to approve a continuation of that 1-penny sales tax.
Will you vote for it again?
We'll have to see.
Probably not. If it's not going to go for what it's intended, and no, I will not vote for it.
If it doesn't pass, we just won't have a capital improvement budget. And if you don't do anything but maintain your status quo, you will go backwards, and that's what people want. If they don't like me, that's one thing, but they're hurting Walker County by not voting for SPLOST.
Calvin Sneed, News Channel 9.
And about Commissioner Heiskell and that intentional inflation of revenue projections in 2008, the state of Georgia has changed the rules to stop that kind of overestimation. So far, Commissioner Heiskell has not released the wish list for the SPLOST vote planned for November.